Do you use a printer? Hi, this is Lindy Kaiser with clearancejobs.com. Over the weekend, news reports came out that Gohkan Gun, let's just pause for a minute and celebrate that name. Gohkan Gun, a DoD civilian employee, had been arrested, charges of possible espionage for having hundreds of classified documents in his possession as he waited for a ride share on his way to Mexico. Again, right now, just mishandling classified information because he was found with documents related to top secret work he was doing as a Department of Defense civilian. What remains to be seen is if there is espionage tied to this case, but the fact that he did have hundreds of classified documents that he had printed off, dozens of pages of classified documents even just this week as he prepared to exit the country, and that he also happened to have a piece of paper with a list of all of his clearances on it. I mean, and every time I go to Mexico, obviously that's what I take with me. It's what you're not supposed to take with you when you leave the country. So a lot of questions here. Clearly all of the insider threat red flags, pew, 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 going off here. Why was he printing all those classified documents? Why was he going to Mexico? Did he self-report that information ahead of time? Obviously, it would have been a requirement as a security clearance holder to self-report a planned trip to a foreign country. Yes, Mexico, still a foreign country. Huge Russian presence in Mexico too. So why was he doing that? Why was he printing off those documents? A few other like tertiary kind of interesting things. Was a Turkish dual citizen. We talk about dual citizenship. We get asked about dual citizenship. You can be a naturalized citizen and even a dual citizen and still work in national security, still obtain a security clearance. So I think there'll be questions, that arise certainly as we go back and look at this guy's investigation. What were his ties to Turkey? Where was all this classified information headed? What was his path? He was only had been in the country for a while, but had only recently started his work with the Department of Defense. And it sounds like, based on the amount of classified material he was hoarding documents from the get-go. So for me, as someone who has not been able to connect my workplace device to a printer in years, hello, IT, I have so many questions about the fact that this guy was printing off materials continuously. I think there were reports from his workplace saying, hey, he was actually allowed to print off unclassified documents, obviously, and take them home with him. So there's some of that. But when it comes to, we talk a ton about controlled and classified information. I think there's going to be some red flags here. I don't want to say we need to go paperless. Love me some paper. I'm an actual book girl for life. But a lot of issues around what are you printing off and what are you printing and taking home? Because we do have a number of instances of mishandling classified information, whether it's intentional or unintentional, then it comes down to just being sloppy with paper products. So I think hopefully some issues. Again, I'm not allowed to use a printer for all of my super classified articles that I write, obviously. So it's just the fact that we have a lot of printing capability and that people are printing them and taking them home. It reminds me like the reality winner stuffing it in her pantyhose, I guess. Again, Gohkan Gun, shout out for that name. He was putting it in shopping bags and taking it home. So definitely some questions I think to be had about, do we need to start doing better checking and monitoring at the door for classified information? What are people printing off? Just kind of a red flag around what are you printing? I guess good news, because potentially printing off has easier ways to track and monitor, and then certainly got the interest of the FBI for this individual and what they were doing with that information. But more to come. Christopher Burgess has already written about that over at Clearance Jobs. I'm sure we'll be writing about it even more. But for now, if you use a printer, tell me. If you know how to get my printer connected, also please tell me. I could use your help. So for more on all of that, just tell me and call me. Visit us over at clearancejobs.com.